Tonight, we plunge beneath the dunes, not with shovels or sensational curses, but with quiet footsteps, guided only by oil lamps and ancient echoes. We're headed to the Valley of the Kings, where pharaohs once ruled, and where, in a moment of urgency, a boy king's final resting place was carved into limestone, only to be forgotten for millennia. Before we descend, take a deep breath. Let your shoulders loosen. Dim your lights and allow the day's noise to fade. If you find comfort in these whispered tales, feel free to subscribe. And please let me know where in the world you're listening from. It's a small reassurance that we share this hush across the miles. Now let us begin. The horizon burns white. A dry wind shimmers above cracked earth. The jagged silhouette of the Theban hills stands stark against the sky, silent and eternal. Below, hidden from the sun's unforgiving glare, lies a world of shadows, where the last echoes of an empire endure in painted stone and sunken corridors. You step from the heat into a narrow portal. Your fingertips brush against carved hieroglyphs, gods with jackal heads, sun discs, and scarabs, that remain vivid despite 3,000 years of dust and darkness. The air here is cool, dry, and heavy with particles that taste of ancient time. Each inhalation draws in centuries. Each exhale releases your modern self. Ahead of you, a single oil lamp sways gently. Its flame flickers against rough walls, guiding you deeper. You follow its glow, mindful that a single misstep could undo hours of careful excavation. With every footfall, motes dance in the lamplight like tiny embers. A hush settles over you, soft as linen. The bustle of the Nile Valley, the calls of merchants and water sellers, fade until only silence remains. In that stillness, you hear nothing but your own breath and the distant whisper of water seeping through limestone. You have crossed a threshold, the world above, alive and bright, and this subterranean realm, timeless and hushed. Tonight's journey will carry you from the sweat of stoneworkers chiseling corridors to the hush of painted chambers, from the vibrant murals of gods to the slow decay wrought by air and light, from a moment of rediscovery to the heartbreak of inevitable loss. Lean back, breathe slowly. Let the lamp's glow be your guide. This is the story of Tutankhamun's tomb, a tale of labor, secrecy, rebirth, and ultimately the slow death of everything meant to last forever. You move forward, the tunnel walls closing around you like the pages of a book. Your hand grazes a chisel mark, a guide carved by ancient hands. You can almost feel the strike of the mallet and the spray of limestone dust centuries ago. The corridor twists, turning away from any sense of direction. This design is deliberate, a labyrinth meant to confuse looters. Yet you navigate it easily, your modern mind guided by that single lamp and the echo of each step. Passages narrow, then widen into shallow antechambers, spaces carved to hold offerings. Here, oil lamps will one day burn for eternity, their fire illuminating painted scenes of gods escorting the pharaoh's soul. The hush deepens. The walls here bear traces of pigment, faint blues and reds, ghosts of vibrant frescoes. You run your finger over a scarab wing, imagining how bright it must have been when first painted. A soft draft kisses your cheek. You pause to listen. It carries a faint scent of the world above, papyrus, mud, the river's slow current. A reminder that for all this tomb's isolation, the living world remains just beyond its stone ceiling. Deeper still, the passage descends. The air grows cooler, denser. Your breath becomes visible. For a moment, a mist that vanishes almost immediately. You feel the weight of centuries pressing in, a quiet presence that does not judge, only waits. As you walk, you sense the tomb's promise, to shelter a king for eternity. Yet you also sense its fragility, waiting for the moment when air and light will bring decay. You reach a junction, a fork in the dark. One corridor leads to painted chambers, the other toward seclusion. You choose the left path, the lamp's flame dancing along fresh chisel marks. Soon, you stand before the first chamber. Its walls, once bright with scenes of resurrection, are now dim, oil-soaked by dripping lamps over centuries. You step inside, the lamp's beam illuminating a painted face of Anubis, guide of souls. In that moment, you are both observer and guardian. You bear witness to hopes and fears of a civilization long vanished. And so, the story of this tomb begins, not with curses or treasure hunts, but with a simple, timeless human need to be remembered. Dawn in the valley. The first light of day is a white blaze against the horizon. Heat shimmers over cracked earth as you step from your mud-brick hut. Around you, the Nile Valley stirs. Fishermen haul nets, traders arrange pottery, and goats bleat in the reeds. Yet you, stoneworker's son, feel only the summons. A messenger's clay tablet bore the news. A new pharaoh has died. No name, no title, just responsibility. You and 50 others gather at the tunnel mouth before sunrise, torches faintly illuminating limestone walls carved with years of previous labor. The overseer's copper staff points inward. A single nod, then silence. You grip your chisel. The world above, market calls, birdsong, rivers murmur, fades. Only dust and darkness remain. Copper against rock, clang mallet, thud. Dust billows in white clouds. Each swing demands focus. One wrong angle, and the ceiling might collapse. By mid-morning, the corridor stretches 10 meters. The floor is uneven, littered with rubble. You pause to wipe sweat from your brow, tasting chalk in your mouth. You drink Nile water from a clay jug, sediment sliding across your tongue. Bread rations are hard with crushed barley, but fill your stomach. Ramos, a fellow worker, passes you a fresh mallet head. His eyes meet yours, conveying a silent solidarity. Friendships in this trench are forged in sweat and grit. You exchange a brief nod before returning to your rhythm. The tunnel descends gradually. Air grows cooler, damp. Oil lamps hang on iron hooks. Wax drips onto the floor, leaving puddles that catch the light. Shadows dance across walls where chisel marks run in precise lines. You feel the pulse of ancient craft beneath your hands. Every few meters, scribes have inscribed symbols marking intended niches for offerings. You smooth one alcove, imagining future oil lamps burning there. The light would catch painted gods, Anubis, Maat, Ara, welcoming the pharaoh's soul to the afterlife. Midday heat above is merciless, but here the stone shelters you. Yet moisture seeps through cracks, forming tiny rivulets that echo in the hush. You pause to listen. It sounds like distant rain, but you know its source is the Nile's slow seepage. By afternoon, the chief engineer arrives with rolled-up papyrus plans. You help unroll them on a flat section of wall. Each line corresponds to your chisel marks. Door frames, pillars, chambers. They confirm the angles, adjust measurements. Ancient precision meets your muscles. The work continues without respite until the torchlight glows brighter than the sun. You carve horizontal grooves, slots for a later stone lintel. You measure each width with a bone caliper, ensuring that the massive slab will fit precisely. Drop it a fraction of an inch too low or too high, and the door will jam. When your fingers cramp, you submerge them in water from a clay basin. You watch tiny bubbles rise before bursting, reminding you that life still flows somewhere above. Evening approaches. The corridor now spans 20 meters. You stand at its threshold, peering into deeper darkness. The next chamber lies just beyond reach, a space that will one day hold the pharaoh's sarcophagus. You step back. Your back aches. Your lungs burn with dust. But a surge of pride warms you. You have created the bones of eternity. The overseer signals a halt. Tools are cleaned, chisels resharpened on sandstone blocks. Men stretch cramped muscles, whispering prayers. Tonight, you will sleep under the stars, but your mind will return to stone, to dust, to the silent hillside awaiting its royal occupant. And so the dawn labor concludes, an unbroken dedication to craft, purpose, and the unknown legacy of a boy who would soon sleep beneath these very stones. Deep carving and painter arrival. Weeks into the tunneling, the rhythm of chisel and mallet has become a drumbeat in your bones. The corridor now stretches deeper than 50 workers could measure, 10 cubits down, winding like a serpent through the limestone. Every swing of your copper chisel cuts closer to the heart of the tomb. Each morning, you descend farther. The air grows cooler, almost moist, and the lamp's glow reveals new chisel marks layered atop older ones. Generations of labor merging in stone. The silt from your water jug leaves ruddy streaks on the walls as you pause to wipe your brow. Then, on a dawn suffused with amber light, a new presence enters the tunnel. The painters arrive, 7 men dressed in linen tunics, as white as river foam. They carry ceramic jars of pigment, deep red ochre, indigo blue from lapis lazuli, charcoal black from desert coal, and a pale yellow crushed from rock. Each pot is sealed with wax to prevent spill. They unload their tools, wooden pallets, goat hair brushes, fine palm fiber pens for hieroglyphic outlines. A chief painter, his forehead marked with soot and symbol, consults a master papyrus scroll. He reads aloud the pharaoh's name, and the others echo it in low chant, Tutankhamun. The words vibrate against the tunnel walls, a promise that the tomb is more than mere rock. Under his direction, you carve fresh alcoves, shallow niches where scenes of the afterlife will bloom. He nods at each. Here, our 8 journeys dawn to dusk. There Anubis weighs the heart. You trace his finger, then smooth the niche floor so pigment will adhere. At midday, a brief pause. The sense of pigment mixed with stone dust and sweat. You sip the river water, watching the painters at work. One man daubs blue pigment onto a falcon's wing. Another outlines the cross of life symbol. Their breaths are silent, their brushstrokes precise. As dusk descends, the corridor springs to color. The first mural reveals the weighing of the heart. Anubis on one side, Thoth on the other, the pharaoh's heart poised on golden scales. You step back, though your tunic is too dusty to see the change. Your chest swells with a mix of awe and humility. You built the frame, they have set it ablaze. Night falls, and the painters work by torchlight. Scribes come to inscribe hieroglyphic captions in black ink, spells to protect the king, invocations of deities. Their reed pens scratch softly as they write, everlasting life, and unseen by enemies. By the 7th night, the painters have covered 3 chambers in vibrant scenes. Funerary boats gliding across a painted Nile, fields of reeds, tables of offerings. Even in darkness, the walls hum with life. You rest your head on a knotted blanket of straw, dreaming of sunrise light catching gold leaf in hidden niches. When you awaken, the chief painter stands in the corridor's mouth, arms spread. He invites you to lay the final stroke, a scarab at the chamber's center. You approach, hand trembling, and brush blue pigment into the carved lines. In that moment, you feel bound to the tomb's destiny, both creator and witness to the Boy King's eternal journey. Soon, the painters will depart, leaving the corridor ready for the next phase, the burial and the sealing. But their colors will endure, whispering in the dark, guiding the pharaoh through the afterlife. Funerary rituals and sealing. Torchlight flickers across the limestone slope as the night breeze carries the distant lull of the Nile. You descend once more into the heart of the tomb, your boots stirring dust motes that glow in the lamplight. The painted chambers behind you hum with the memory of pigment, now still. Ahead lies a moment of ritual and finality. The sacred procession. Priests in white linen robes form a silent guard of honor. They carry a royal litter draped in red cloth, embroidered with gold threads depicting the sun god Ra inside. Wrapped meticulously in layers of fine linen, lies the boy king Tutankhamun. His name, whispered in chants, echoes off the tunnel walls. Tutankhamonius, Tutankhamun, unveiling the painted portal. At the chamber entrance, two priests step forward. They remove a painted panel, revealing the final antechamber. The frescoes, vivid depictions of the pharaoh's journey, are illuminated for the first time. You glimpse figures of Anubis weighing the heart, Maat balancing truth, and Osiris enthroned in emerald fields, positioning the funerary furniture. Builders and artisans carry gilded chests, alabaster jars, and a ceremonial bed carved with lotus blooms. Each piece is placed with solemn precision. You help guide a carved stool into position. Its legs, shaped like lotus stems, rest on the cool stone floor. The sarcophagus enclosure. A nested series of coffins awaits in a side chamber. The outermost is stone, sealed centuries ago. Inside it, 3 gilded wooden coffins lie stacked. Priests carefully lift each layer, revealing beneath the pharaoh's mask of gold, its inlaid eyes appearing to search the darkness. You stand back, breath held, as they carry the final coffin to its resting niche. Libations and offerings. Scented oil is poured into shallow bowls. Frankincense resin melting to amber, myrrh yielding earthy smoke. Bowls of bread, dates, and dried meat are placed on stone tables carved for these very offerings. A hush falls as priests slice locks of hair from a chosen acolyte, scattering them at the pharaoh's feet, symbols of sacrifice and kinship. Sealing the inner chamber, stoneworkers move into position. A granite slab, measuring 2 cubits thick, is slid into place over the doorway. The echo of granite on granite reverberates like a heartbeat, then stills. Hieroglyphs are incised along its edge, invocations to keep out the living, to guide the dead safely. Erasing the portal. Outside, laborers drag massive limestone blocks across the entrance passage. Each block is mortared and chiseled flush, then polished to blend seamlessly with the hill's facade. Sand is shoveled at the base to hide any trace of steps. Final blessings and ritual cleanings. Priests return, sprinkling Nile water over the sealed stones. They chant praises to Thoth, god of wisdom, and to Horus, protector of kings. A thin coat of resin is applied, sealing pores in the limestone and preserving the paint beneath it. Worker reflections. You stand back with your comrades. Some cross themselves. Others cast seeds of grain for the pharaoh's rebirth. A fleeting tear in your eye, stirred by awe and exhaustion, catches the lantern's glow. You realize you have not just built a tomb. You have crafted a bridge between life and beyond. Return to silence. With torches extinguished, only moonlight guides you up the carved steps. The valley above sleeps under a blanket of stars. Nature's reclamation over centuries, 12 minutes, almost equals 2,500 words. Silence is the heaviest sound. For years, no footfall disturbs the corridors you helped seal. No flickers, no chiselrins. The first nightfall, as the final torches died, only moonlight found cracks in the hillside. Dust settled. The painted walls, vivid moments ago, grew dim under layers of powder. A crawling hush took hold. Wind and sand. Season turned to season. Desert winds found tiny fissures in the stone and swept in grains of sand. Over centuries, dunes shifted above the entrance, burying it entirely beneath soft hills. Surface storms scarred the facade, smoothing the remaining carvings into gentle waves. Water's quiet work. Floodwaters of the Nile rose in spring, seeping into cracks above. Slow drips fell inside, carving miniature channels on the floor. Mineral deposits formed stalactite beads where water lingered. You, long gone, would be surprised how life finds a way down to the last drop. Animal guardians. Snakes slithered over buried stone, seeking cool shelter. Scorpions nested in alcoves, their tails poised. Bats roost in hidden chambers, their soft wing beats the only movement. They became the tomb's quiet sentinels, alive, unseen protectors of the dead. Vegetation above. On the surface, hardy shrubs and grasses took hold. Date palms' roots probed cracks in a limestone. In scarce soil pockets, desert lilies bloomed against all odds. Above, life thrived, but below, darkness reigned supreme. Human forgetting. Empires rose, dynasties fell. Priestly cults lost favor. Scribal records vanished in fires and time's neglect. The valley echoed with new names: Alexander, Romans, Arabs, but the tomb's purpose remained a secret buried in silence. Pilgrims and travelers. Occasional pilgrims trekked the valley seeking lost temples. Some carved graffiti on walls above ground, unaware a corridor lay beneath. They called your tomb names you wouldn't recognize: the golden one, the hidden vault. But none dared to enter. Earth's slow embrace. Millennia passed. The hill grew ever softer under wind and rain. The painted portal, once vibrant, crumbled into faint lines only visible at dawn's angle. Above, a few stone markers leaned at odd angles. Ancient warnings ignored by time. Mortal versus eternal. The contrast between the vibrant rituals you witnessed and this hush is stark. What once was safeguarded with ceremonies and offerings is now claimed by nature's patient hand. The calm before discovery. For centuries, the tomb slept, its air unchanged since sealing. The boy king's mask lay in darkness, his heart's weight known only to sand and silence. Then, one day, footsteps echoed where none had sounded for 3,000 years. Hellenistic to Islamic periods. The silence was broken not by looters, but by the march of armies and the spread of new religions. Over centuries, the Valley of the Kings witnessed the footsteps of Greeks, Romans, and Arabs, each leaving subtle traces above ground while the tomb slumbered below. Alexander's arrival. In 332 BCE, Alexander the Great rode into Egypt. His generals measured the valley, naming landmarks after themselves. Yet they never ventured beyond a surface search. Your tomb remained hidden, its portal buried beneath shifting sands. Ptolemaic curiosity. Under the Ptolemies, Greek scholars documented temple inscriptions, but dismissed legends of hidden tombs as myth. They admired colossal statues and temple walls in Thebes, but overlooked the small, unmarked hills where your tomb lay. Roman administration. When Rome absorbed Egypt, soldiers garrisoned near the Nile. They built roads, aqueducts, and villas. Some nobles traced cartouches on surviving tomb entrances, hoping to gain prestige. Yet the boy king's tomb eluded every curiosity. Christian pilgrims. By the early Middle Ages, Coptic monasteries rose in valleys once sacred to pharaohs. Desert hermits scratched crosses on rock faces. They spoke of idols and judged ancient gods as demons. The tomb's symbols were erased or defaced in passing, but the sealed entrance lay untouched. Islamic conquest. In the 7th century CE, Arab armies crossed the Sinai, and Islam spread along the Nile. New villages sprouted. Arabic names replaced Greek ones on maps. Yet the valley's unassuming hills, draped in dust, concealed millennia-old secrets. Travelers' tales. Medieval geographers wrote of mountains of bones and mysterious tombs, but their accounts were vague, often dismissed as travelers' exaggerations. No systematic search was conducted. Legends drifted through the bazaars of Cairo. Local knowledge and superstition. Villagers kept whispers of grave robbers, shadows in night, camels stumbling into pits. They avoided certain hills at dusk. Some left offerings of dates and bread near ancient markers, hoping to appease restless spirits. Architecture and conversion. Nearby tombs were repurposed as Christian chapels, their walls whitewashed. Symbols were hidden behind frescoes of saints. Yet your tomb, sealed and small, lay forgotten, its entrance erased. Manuscripts lost and found. Occasional papyri were uncovered in rubbish heaps, fragments of genealogies and rituals. Scholars in Alexandria and later Fatimid Cairo pored over them, but none connected to a boy king sealed tomb. Enduring mystery. Through these eras, the tomb's purpose and occupant were lost to all but the silent stones. Above, civilizations transformed. Below, dust preserved the boy king's final journey, awaiting the next footstep to stir its sleep. Human forgetting. Empires rose, dynasties fell. Priestly cults lost favor. Scribal records vanished in fires and time's neglect. The valley echoed with new names: Alexander, Romans, Arabs, but the tomb's purpose remained a secret buried in silence. Pilgrims and travelers. Occasional pilgrims trekked the valley seeking lost temples. Some carved graffiti on walls above ground, unaware a corridor lay beneath. They called your tomb names you wouldn't recognize: the golden one, the hidden vault. But none dared to enter. Earth's slow embrace. Millennia passed. The hill grew ever softer under wind and rain. The painted portal, once vibrant, crumbled into faint lines only visible at dawn's angle. Above, a few stone markers leaned at odd angles. Ancient warnings ignored by time. Mortal versus eternal. The contrast between the vibrant rituals you witnessed and this hush is stark. What once was safeguarded with ceremonies and offerings is now claimed by nature's patient hand. The calm before discovery. For centuries, the tomb slept, its air unchanged since sealing. The boy king's mask lay in darkness, his heart's weight known only to sand and silence. Then, one day, footsteps echoed where none had sounded for 3,000 years. Napoleon's expedition, 1798 to 1801. When Napoleon marched into Egypt with a scientific entourage, his scholars mapped and documented thousands of ancient sites. The Rosetta Stone was found, enabling future decipherment. Yet the tomb you helped build lay undisturbed, hidden beyond the main temple complexes they surveyed. Cartographic advances. Napoleon's cartographers produced the first accurate maps of the Nile Valley. They noted hills and wadis, but prioritized large monuments like Karnak and Luxor. The tomb entrances, now buried, did not appear as significant landmarks. Cultural exchange. French botanists and linguists studied Egyptian flora and attempted to learn Coptic. Local villagers guided them to minor chapels and ruins, but the valley's sealed corridors remained beyond their scope. Seeds of Egyptology. Napoleon's expedition sparked European fascination with Egypt. Artists and scholars returned home with drawings and artifacts. The seeds of modern Egyptology were planted, even though your tomb remained asleep beneath those very sketches. Before the awakening. By 1801, the French withdrew. Britain assumed control. Museums in Europe displayed ancient relics. Interest grew, but technology was primitive. Tunneling instruments crude. The covert hills kept their secrets. Early modern Egyptology. The 19th century ushered in a new era, Egyptology. Scholars armed with knowledge of Coptic and Greek began to unravel hieroglyphs. Yet the Valley of the Kings remained a frontier of mystery. Champollion's breakthrough, 1822. Jean-François Champollion decoded the Rosetta Stone, unlocking the language of pharaohs. He pored over inscriptions in Paris, then sent students to Thebes. They documented temple walls, yet the buried corridors evaded their search. Belzoni and the high stakes. In 1815, Giovanni Battista Belzoni rolled massive statues across the desert. His pride was peeling the mask of Thonis from temple gateways. But in the valley, he dug shafts and tunnels, hoping to find hidden tombs. He found nothing but sand. Richard Lepsius's Prussian mission, 1842 to 1846. Carl Richard Lepsius led a Prussian team to map and list hundreds of monuments. They recorded tomb entrances visible on rock faces, but missed those sealed and buried. His volumes would guide future archaeologists, but your tomb lay beyond their gaze. Local efforts and guides. Egyptian foremen and Bedouin guides knew vague locations of old tombs. They led explorers to rock-cut cliffs dotted with breaches. Yet the entrance you sealed was covered by centuries of wind-blown sand. Amateur explorers. Victorian aristocrats funded digs. They wielded picks and dynamite in search of treasure. Tales circulated of cursed tombs. Some returned with artifacts. Others returned empty-handed, convinced the beyond would not yield. Advances in archaeological methods. By mid-century, excavators adopted stratigraphy and careful recording. They cataloged pottery shards and human remains. But budget and location priorities favored major temple sites over small, hidden tombs. Photographic documentation. Early photographers captured stark images of rocks and tomb walls. Glass plates recorded every chisel mark. Yet the sealed entrance remained obscured beneath packed sands, absent from every photo. Scholarly publications. Journals published articles on Theban topography. They debated whether undiscovered royal tombs still existed. Enthusiasm grew, but no one dared dig in the shifting dunes without permit. Egyptian Antiquities Service, 1858. Ottoman Egypt's Antiquities Department began issuing licenses and protecting sites. They cleared tombs from frequent looting. This bureaucracy, though slow, would later enable systematic excavations. The calm before Carter. By the 1870s, modern Egyptology was well established, yet rumors of a lost tomb of the Golden Boy persisted. Howard Carter, born in 1874, grew up hearing these stories, dreaming of the day he might uncover what others missed. Carter's campaign, 1917 to 1922. In 1917, Howard Carter arrived in Egypt, an ambitious archaeologist determined to locate the tomb of Tutankhamun. Funded by Lord Carnarvon, he faced harsh desert conditions, rugged politics, and constant skepticism from the antiquities authorities. Securing sponsorship. Carter's breakthrough came when British aristocrat Lord Carnarvon offered financial backing. Their agreement was simple. Carnarvon would fund the excavations. Carter would direct them and retain the right to publish and own select finds. Establishing the dig site. They set up camp near the valley's west bank. Tents of white canvas housed a crew of local workers, guards, and a small team of experts. Carter mapped the area, referencing Lepsius's plans, but focusing on unexcavated mounds overlooked by earlier teams. Layered excavations. Year after year, Carter's crew cleared wind-blown sand and rubble, layer by layer. Each season yielded pottery shards, debris of less significant tombs, and sometimes hidden stairs. Carter meticulously recorded each find, sending detailed reports to Cairo. Political and bureaucratic hurdles. The Antiquities Service monitored Carter closely. Permits had to be renewed annually. Rival Egyptologists questioned his methods. He navigated delicate relationships, balancing scientific rigor with diplomatic tact. Financial strains and setbacks. By 1922, funds were nearly exhausted. Progress slowed as Carnarvon dipped into reserves. A water shortage forced work stoppages. Local workers protested for overdue wages. Carter's resolve held firm, driven by belief in a final discovery. The final push. In November 1922, after clearing an awkward pit, Carter's team uncovered a step leading down. November's chill did little to quell their excitement. Carter insisted on absolute precision. Each block of debris was labeled, measured, and photographed. The discovery moment. On November 26th, Carter peered through a small breach in the blocking stones. By flickering candlelight, he glimpsed golden artifacts lining a corridor. "Can you see anything?" Lord Carnarvon asked. Carter whispered, "Yes, wonderful things." Managing public and press. Word spread quickly. Newspapers heralded the discovery as the greatest archaeological find. Carter battled media sensationalism, striving to preserve the tomb's integrity amid uproar. Preservation challenges. Opening the sealed chambers invited air, moisture, and dust. Carter's team worked tirelessly to document and remove treasures before irreversible decay could set in. Conservation methods were rudimentary but groundbreaking for the time. Legacy of the campaign. By early 1923, nearly 5,000 objects had been recorded. Carter's meticulous approach set new standards in archaeology. Yet, he warned that the tomb's fragile ecosystem had begun its slow unraveling, a stage set for the final chapter of this story. Discovery and initial plunder. When Carter and Carnarvon breached the last blocking stones, the tomb's silence shattered. Gold shimmered across every surface, reflecting candlelight like a dream of eternity. Yet within hours, the greatest discovery in modern archaeology would face its first threat: looting, accidental damage, and the unpredictable consequences of exposure. First steps inside. Carter's candle beam revealed a corridor lined with pottery jars, chests, and gleaming statues. Initial excitement gave way to awestruck caution. Each item was sketched, photographed, and left undisturbed for proper removal. Pressures of publicity. News reached London within days. Journalists pressed for interviews. Reporters camped outside Carter's tent, eager for scoops. The rush of attention threatened to compromise the site's security and academic rigor. Early looting attempts. Local antiquities traffickers attempted to bribe guards. Carter's vigilance, aided by Egyptian police, thwarted these schemes. Still, rumors of missing small items circulated, fueling legends of curses and ghosts. Accidental damage. Air rushing into centuries-old chambers caused delicate textiles to flake. Some painted panels began to crack under new humidity. Carter's team scrambled to record details before further decay. Cataloging the treasure. Objects were numbered and logged. Alabaster vessels, cedarwood chairs, gilded sandals, jewelry adorned with lapis and carnelian. Each item carried personal significance for the pharaoh's afterlife: a mirror, a game board, a cooking pot. Carnarvon's fate. In April 1923, Lord Carnarvon died in Cairo, sparking sensational headlines of a pharaoh's curse. His death, from an infected mosquito bite, fed public obsession rather than scholarly focus. Carter remained resolute, dismissing superstition. Transportation challenges. Packing fragile items for shipment required ingenuity. Jimmy, a British foreman, constructed custom crates lined with straw. Artifacts crunched and scraped as they moved, every journey jostling them closer to damage. International scrutiny. Governments and museums demanded a share of fines. The Egyptian government insisted on early inspections. Carter negotiated carefully, balancing national pride and academic principles. Internal conflicts. Some team members grew impatient. Young assistants pushed to bypass protocols for speed. Carter halted them, insisting on systematic removal, year after year if needed, rather than hasty plunder. Preserving integrity. By late 1923, the corridor was empty, its treasures transported to the Cairo Museum. The tomb's biochemical balance was irrevocably altered. The silver screen of fame captured masks and chariots, but the deepest chambers remained fragile, their sealed promise broken by necessity. Cataloging, conservation, and the tomb's slow death. The corridors lie empty now, save for the echo of footsteps long gone. The real journey begins, preserving what remains and witnessing the tomb's final unraveling. Unpacking the vault. In the Cairo Museum, crates are opened under controlled light. Conservators in linen gloves lay artifacts on tables padded with straw. Each item is brushed, measured, and photographed. Dust from millennia lifts in tiny clouds. Histories rediscovered in every grain. The mask in the spotlight. Tutankhamun's golden funerary mask becomes the museum's star. Under intense lamps, its gold leaf reflects like a sun caught in glass. Visitors press their faces against glass cases, unaware that the metal beneath is cooling and contracting, tiny fractures forming where none existed before. Textiles and tarnish. Linen wrappings, once sealed in darkness, unravel in hours. Conservators battle mold and insect larvae. Treated with chemicals, the fabric stiffen. The balance between cleaning and preserving freshness becomes an ethical dilemma. Environmental controls. Humidity and temperature are regulated by machinery unknown to ancient builders. Rooms once cool and still now hum with fans and dehumidifiers. Sensors beep as values drift. The tomb's microclimate has shifted irreversibly. Photography and publication. High-resolution images circulate worldwide. Books, magazines, and film capture every angle. The tomb's contents become part of global culture. Yet each flash of a camera, each exposure to air, accelerates the decay. Scientific studies. Archaeologists conduct X-rays and spectrometry on coffin materials. Chemical analysis reveals pigment compositions and organic residues from ancient offerings. These insights deepen knowledge, but require microsampling, small sacrifices for big revelations. Public exhibitions and loans. The Golden Treasures tour London, New York, Paris. Display cases are sealed with inert gas to slow corrosion. Yet vibrations from passing trains, variations in light, and handling create stress. Curators track condition reports, noting each change. Ongoing decay. Despite efforts, proteins in the mummy continue to break down. Paint flakes from cartonnage. Gold laminations lift. The tomb's slow death continues, no longer hidden underground, but visible under sterile glass. Ethical debates. Scholars and governments debate repatriation, conservation versus display. Some argue the artifacts should return to Egypt. Others claim global heritage. The boy, king's legacy becomes entangled in politics, far from the silent halls of his tomb. Reflection on lost eternity. What endures is not stone or pigment, but the story, recorded in notebooks, voices, and cameras. The tomb once promised timeless slumber. Instead, it sparked a global awakening. Its slow death reminds us that even monuments to eternity are fleeting. And now, slowly return to the world above. Feel the weight of your body against the bed. Notice the rise and fall of each breath. The distant hum of electricity, the soft glow of lamps or moonlight through your window. These are comforts long unknown to those silent corridors. You have walked through walls of limestone, traced the carvings of gods, and witnessed the labor of hands that never rested until a boy king lay in golden peace. You have watched nature reclaim stone, armies tread paths above, and modern curiosity stir ancient dust. You have seen a tomb built for eternity breathe one last breath under the harsh light of our age. Take this moment to appreciate the fragility of memory. If this journey brought calm to your night, subscribe to join future explorations into the dusty echoes of the past. Share where you're listening from. Your presence joins the silent company of those who guard these stories. And wherever you are, under starlit skies or city lights, may your dreams be as rich and mysterious as a hidden tomb. Sleep deeply. Carry these whispers through your rest and awaken with the dawn, renewed by the ghosts of empires. Good night.